Token 2049 was lit. And I'm not talking about just the fireworks from F1. There was 10,000 people there. Then with all this happening, we've got the whole Bitboy situation. We have the issue with Gotbit and why I'll explain to you why I have a lot of doubts about them. And then, of course, you guys are all going to stay to the end. Click subscribe, like, and retweet so that you can find out where Bitcoin's going in the short term and when does the bull market start. So if you want to know those questions, stick around, do those things, and let's get started. Okay, so let's start with Bitboy, Ben Armstrong. A lot of controversy around him. A lot of people feel sorry for him. You know, my personal opinion is this. I don't really need to kick him while he's down. I actually warned him, and I warned him the stuff that I saw from his character changing. Money was changing him, and I kept telling his team, and eventually, I guess there was some breaking point. There was some there's basically things like he's embezzled. The girl that he was having an affair with, he was paying her off. There's like all sorts of random stuff that's been popping out of the woodworks. And, you know, who knows what's really the truth 100%, but I'm pretty sure we know that, yes, he did have an affair. We know that it's very unlikely this man does not have money. You know, I don't believe it. No one in crypto in the world would ever actually not be able to afford their gas in their car. Like this is beyond ridiculous, in my opinion. And to be someone who makes a video like this that you probably have all seen and complains about it, I just really, you know, like, I don't really understand it. Like, you know, if you make a mistake, cool, but did you really spend all of your money? Did you literally spend every penny? Do you think we believe that, Ben? I don't believe it. I don't think anyone here believes it that's watching this video, but that's enough about that. So Bitboy, get help, bro. Like, you know, don't get help from financing from people that actually can't afford to really give you the money because they feel bad for you. Actually go and, you know, deal with your life and be a better person, okay? Next up, all right, so a lot of you probably have seen that this guy right here, Alexei, basically, he works for Gotbit. All right. Now, if you read what this article says, it says basically that for 15K, he'd fake your exchange volume and you'll get on CoinMarketCap. Okay, this dates back all the way to 2021. This guy is not new in the industry. So people that are mad about me talking bad about Gotbit, I'm going to show you some data points and some proof that may make you feel like, wait a minute, hold up a second. There are good market makers in this space. Most of them aren't. Most of them give liquidity and basically sell the tokens at their own rate, and they don't give the project back any discretionary funds, so they actually take liquidity out of the project, which I understand, but I'd rather pay a market maker and actually share the profits with them at like the same way a fund would work. So the good market makers in our space charge you a flat fee and then give you services and then take cut of it. So if you want to sell $1 million of tokens if there's an X amount of volume so that you can build up a floor for your project and add more liquidity, then you know, you shouldn't be basically losing all that liquidity to the market maker. And if they say it's free and they'll do it for tokens or whatever, horrible situation. So getting back to what's going on Gotbit. So that was when he was 20 years old, okay? He said it's a living, basically like he co-founded Gotbit and basically they do market making. What they actually do is create volume, which is basically illegal. You cannot fake volume on an exchange. These types of things will get you in trouble and can actually technically end up in jail. And Andrian said, look, he said the business is not entirely ethical. So if we know like his character from the past, why would you ever think that someone who does unethical things wouldn't screw over projects or arbitrage the projects or do things where they have extra wallets that are found by virtual visions, apparently? I haven't seen the actual data for that, but that's what they're telling me. They found a bunch of wallets and then money was sent back, and it was a lot more money than they actually originally said that they'd made for them. So there's a lot of really like sketchy, weird stuff that happened there, but here's the reality. Who are you going to believe? A project that's saying this happened, which is more, I've had 5 projects tell me this happened or something like it or something off or numbers didn't add up. And so I want to show you guys who people are in this space because a lot of people love these types of guys, you know, fudging all the volume. Here's another one, okay? Elaborate pump and dump scheme involving Monero, HitBTC, and Cointelegraph. Guess who's listed in this one as well? Oh, I don't know. The CoinDesk interview with Alexei Andrian, co-founder of Gotbit, who is hired to inflate trade volumes, clearly demonstrates the systemic issues in crypto with data fabrication, okay? So what we're saying here is You know, you're cooking books basically. You're creating fake volume on exchanges. Sure, I get that volume brings traders. That's one thing, but when you're market making like this is actually highly, it's criminal activity in any other part of the world. And if they're getting accused of pump and dumps, well, I mean, go look at VV's price. Tell me exactly what's happened there, right? Pretty much very manipulated. And I know we're in a bad part of the market, but you know, things happen. So then Gotbit comes out and says, oh yeah, like these guys are saying we need to hit this KPI, blah, 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 but they're not showing the whole entire thing. And they're not showing the whole entire, all the wallets that were consolidated later that Virtual Visions didn't even know about. So now they're saying it's slander and whatever. I'm not trying to slander. I'm trying to give you guys data because I wouldn't work with them because of the stuff I'm showing you right now because I've been in this space long enough to tell you this is not cool. And go, look, remember, this article's from 2020. So 2020, then you got 2021 on this article, right? So this guy's been doing this for years and it's almost 2024. You're talking about 4 years, faking exchange volume, you know, pump and dumping schemes. And people are surprised that this guy is still a market maker in this industry. Why? I have no idea. So we go into the fraud report that was done by a trusted partner, not even VV themselves, and they found out there's a lot of weird discrepancies in terms of liquidity and how much money was there and how much money was lost. And so I can hear both sides, right? But when you look at both sides, when you look at, you know, Andre basically attacking me because I'm saying, hey, I've been saying this for a while, and now I'm proving right now there's fraud reports that this actually happened. So, you know, giving you some real information about this so you understand why I'm saying what I say, it's really important. Now, there's another thing that I was talking about recently, and that was there's a project called Fluid. Now, I'm worried because of the amount of KOLs that are involved and because they gave everyone a little bit and they're all just going to pump and then dump it. I'm worried that you as retail are going to get fucked. So what I want you guys to do is understand that might happen. And what you can do is basically try to avoid that initial pump or join it and get out really quickly. But be very careful because these types of things feed into like what Gotbit does. They'll fucking pump the shit out of a token like they did with VV, and then they'll sell it off and try to keep it hidden on other wallets and things like that, right? So anyways, moving on from that, let's go into the stuff that you're here for, the actual market and what's happening in the short term and what's going to likely happen in 6 weeks, in the next 6 weeks, okay? I've been telling you guys this for a while. You're probably going, okay, coach, like you're crazy, but all right. So okay, so what we have here is a retracement towards the mean. So our Kijun is our mean. It's our homeostasis. It's the part where a lot of buyers and sellers meet, okay? When you're oversold too hard, it goes way far from the Kijun, so then it pulls it back up because there's, you know, people need to buy the stuff again, right? So here's what I'm trying to say. We have a 3 inside down here. Here we had one kind of faked out just to the level. It would have been a nice short trade that you would have got in, right? That was not huge, just like a 3 or 4% trade, but all relative. Money is money. And you would have seen that it retraced, so you might have broke even on that. But here's one, another 3 inside down, and I'm looking at it, and this is a more healthy one, right? Like this 3 inside up on the left over here, that was healthy. Let me pull this up a little bit so you can see it. So you have the down candle, you have a candle that closes inside of this down candle, and then the third candle closes higher. Or the opposite, it closes lower. So a good example of a 3 inside down is here. We had our up candle went all the way into resistance. We had our inside candle and then down, right? I got wicked out of this one because I was not giving enough space. Usually you're supposed to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room. I figured it was going to go down from that point. I was wrong, and it actually came down anyway. So that was now I'm seeing this again. This one would have broke even or made you just a little bit of money if you were trading it. And then you have these guys. So what I'm expecting to happen is us to come at least down to 25 again. And it's very likely that we're going to go back down to 23, 24. So I'm looking at these zones. Now, I always said this is a possibility if we have some major event, like the bond market was blown up yesterday and crypto held strong. So what we're going to see now is this pullback, right? That's likely to happen before we get this is like a spring, or will this end up being like our double bottom here? That we won't know yet. But what I'm expecting is for us to see this down candle right here turn into a down, come into like sort of the middle of the end of October, and then get a spring somewhere in that range, right? So, and if we don't go down that hard, we might go only to here. We might only go down to 23, 24. So that would be great. People would be much more bullish. And then what I expect to happen after that is by basically December or something like that, for us to start breaking above the highs that we made over here. So going over 32, maybe 36, somewhere around that range. And then, we got our halving sometime between March and April. So somewhere in this zone right here, we're going to have halving. And generally, before halving, we have a run up. So we had that happen last cycle, right? So you see that here's the halving, kind of like ran up, and then boom, I screwed that up. God damn it. Sorry, guys. Let's start that again. So what happened here is we had halving, and then basically I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure we're gonna go. And so obviously March took off this trajectory. Generally, if you go further back in the cycles from before, we generally would stay around the normal range that was the lows around here. We wouldn't go lower than that. So this was like the anomaly of COVID. But likely we would have probably stayed around here and started going up like here, and then we would have broke out in that October. I think we're going to see something similar this year. So, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that long bear market from all the way over the top in November, all the way to November, December, basically 2 years. And then we get that spring and we start heading towards the all-time high. And by, let's say, I would expect we're going to break all-time high. And I can tell you almost to the day, I think by, probably by, about October. How many months was that? From October till April. So from October till, that should be about 4 months. Let me just move. I don't know why it's not letting me do this. Hold on a sec. There we go. Somewhere around here by July, I believe we'll have already broken all-time high. Likely even before that, to be honest, because it happens quick. Bitcoin generally moves. All of its biggest moves happen like over a 3-week span, right? So you get big 3 weeks and then you get it down. You get 3 weeks to get down. You go 3 weeks to go down. And if you look at the chart right here, you can see that when Bitcoin moves, it moves over a few weeks, has a little taper off, moves up again, tapers off, moves up again, tapers off, but it moves up very quickly. So you got to position yourself now. If you're not positioned in this market, I don't know what you're doing because you're waiting too long. You're going to wait for it to start coming back. This is the time where if you're thinking about stuff, you're going, okay, let me think about this in a more rational way. It's like all the craziest events have happened, right? We went from 4,800, all the way up here, all the way down to 800s, right? And then it's like we've been going sideways and up, but we really haven't been like super bearish yet. And even if we come back to this mean of like 1,300, that's okay too. That would be a good springing area, double bottom from all the way back in March. So this is what you should be looking for with Bitcoin and ETH. And remember, market cycles work like this. At the start of the bull market, Bitcoin and ETH are going to be the best moving projects. You're going to have like pre-sales and other stuff, but in terms of most of the macro market, they're going to move first. So everything's going to lose value against BTC and ETH. So generally, it's good to have a good percentage of your portfolio in BTC and ETH. Then you look at all your other coins, right? You look at your AI, your baskets, you look at your storage baskets, you look at your DeFi baskets, you look at your layer 2 baskets, your layer 1 baskets, and you kind of put them all in after you see Bitcoin go on those really explosive moves, because then they generally come next, the layer 1, layer 2s. And then after those, you generally have like your high caps that are like the graph, for example, stuff that's doing service infrastructure inside of the ecosystem. So Link, for example, or Super Oracles, which will launch. And then we look for those as well in that sprinkled in there. You're going to start seeing these projects doing like 50x and 20x and 30x and 100x. And then when you start seeing that, retail starts to come back. So the people that aren't watching these videos right now, that don't care, they're all going to come back soon. And so this is what you have to know, and that's what's coming up. So know the pattern of how you invest in the cycle, and then use it to your advantage, because you have probably a year and a half to like maybe 2 years from now, your life could be absolutely different. Mine was from last cycle, absolutely changed everything, could buy a new car, can go and do all this crazy stuff, and it was amazing. And then we have, just to leave you off with, the token 2049. I was hanging out with the co-founder of Paxos and BUSD, and just amazing people, period. Everyone from like Cordell, Champ Medici, Snoop's son. We were hanging out a bit, talking about the cannabis side of business, and just like the vibe was so vibrant. Like, that's all I could say. There's people from everywhere. We were all together. The OGs were there. There was all these new people I've never even seen before. It was really cool to connect with people. And I think that Token 2049 is probably one of my best events that I've gone to in terms of really meeting amazing people and doing something, really epic with those people as well. So I really look forward to the next one. If you guys have any questions or comments, chuck them down below. Make sure, again, to subscribe, to like, to retweet, to get this information out, because I'm not shilling you what you should be doing with your money or whatever. I'm giving you information so you can make the best choice for yourself. I teach you to fish. Go fish for yourself. Go win. And tell me about the great stories that you have. All right, guys. See you later. Coach K signing out.
Fat kiddo, fat kiddo, huge fat kiddo.